You're listening to The Watchers, a show where two women from opposite ends of New Jersey watch movies and TV about New Jersey.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what we do here.
That's what we do.
That's all we've ever done.
Yep. They're like us. They're from New Jersey, but they're just currently not in New Jersey.
That's right. They're deep in the wilderness.
Trapped somewhere else.
They're either in the wilderness or they're upstate New York, I think, at this point.
Yeah. Yeah. Catskills, most likely.
Yeah. All
Yeah.
right, well, we're back where we started with our dear beloved Yellowjackets.
Hell yeah. I'm Jodie.
And I'm Andrea. And we're in like part 2 of our kind of like Yellowjackets reset, State of the Union, whatever you want to call it.
Commencement address.
That's right.
Convocation. That's what
Beautiful.
it is.
Yeah.
Convocation, not commencement. That's the end.
Yeah. If you were with us last week,
we're setting the table, as you might say.
As it were.
Yeah.
And last week we caught us up and revisited and reminded us all where we left our dear Yellowjackets, what, a year and a half ago, something like that?
And how we got where we are. Yeah. We checked in.
Yeah. And now we're looking forward because next week.
Oh my God.
Wow.
We
get 2 new episodes of Yellowjackets season 3.
So much new content.
So I think this week we're going to do a couple of things. We're going to look at that 2-minute long trailer that is chock full of stuff.
So much stuff.
And we're going to talk about all of the theories that have come up in the last year and a half. And we're going to talk
maybe
about...
not all of them.
Yeah, because there are a lot. We're going to talk about the questions we've got, what we're hoping for season 3, and then, of course, as we do every season, predict...
Unsuccessfully.
It's more of like our hopes and dreams, right?
Yeah.
Of like what...
We're wish casting
for our needle drops for the soundtrack, because the show, it's maybe the first thing that really won me over is how incredible the soundtrack is.
Yeah. And the way that they adapt songs for the purposes of the show, not just play them like as we knew them.
Exactly.
As is evidenced by the trailer.
This trailer. What did you think?
I thought that it told us a lot and also a very little at the same time. There were so many quick cuts and so many just images of somebody in a dramatic moment with very little context. Mm-hmm. I think there were some main takeaways that so maybe that's where I should start. The big takeaways for me from the trailer were A, Coach Ben's in trouble.
Coach Ben's in big trouble. Coach Ben's got a big beard. He's in big trouble.
He's in big trouble. Number 2, Melissa is going to be more important. Or Melissa's going to have a line or two.
Hold on, I'll link to the trailer in the show notes. Go watch the trailer if you haven't yet. I can't imagine you're somebody who is seeking out a Yellowjackets podcast and haven't watched the trailer, but Melissa is in this trailer more than anybody else. Like, they really want us to remember.
They're like, oh, hey. Yeah.
Okay, so here's my first question for you then, Jodie.
Yeah.
Is that so we connect her with Hilary Swank as a new face, or is that a trick?
I think that it's more likely that it actually is adult Melissa is Hilary Swank.
Okay.
I'm perfectly willing to be wrong about that. They never cease to surprise me. But to me, we're seeing Melissa because Melissa's going to be the surprise she survived person.
Right. And I think Hilary Swank is wearing blue contacts.
That was one of the questions that people had, like in the first teaser, like they couldn't tell what her eye color, if they changed it. Yeah, because Hilary Swank, I guess, has brown eyes. And
100%.
Actor that plays Melissa has blue eyes. So, okay, Coach Ben's in trouble. Melissa is ascendant. Mm-hmm. Probably Hilary Swank.
Yeah, especially because I was thinking about that, and I think it feels like a waste of Hilary Swank, especially because they're so good at casting people that people our age knew when we were younger, like Melanie Linsky, like Lauren Ambrose, like Christina Ricci, like Juliette Lewis. So it'd be weird to me to bring her in to play somebody new. I don't know if that
Elijah Wood is just a random citizen detective, so that kind of proves it wrong. But
that's a good point.
I still think that she's supposed to be adult Melissa. They have a similar physicality. They're both very like lanky, like you know, they have similar hair. I don't know. It's certainly possible that they're trying to pull one over on us. But...
Melissa seems like she could be a Karate Kid. It all
right.
It all checks out. My only real hesitation is she says you really are insane, which feels to me like you're surprised now that those girls are insane when you spent 19 months. But that's like a little...
Okay, and so I have 2 more takeaways. Third takeaway. Good housing design. They have no cabin anymore. They had to make something. You got to take inspiration from the indigenous people of where you're from. Now, granted, this is the Northern Rockies. They probably weren't using the wiki up style. That is more Southern, but it is a good instinct to make that. I don't know why it's just sticks and there's nothing over the sticks. Maybe everything else is burned, but like use some brush. I don't know. But I'm very, very, very interested as someone who watches the Alone Show on the History Network religiously, how they are constructing their housing.
I was curious about, they look well made. And they
look extremely well made.
Which of those girls...
Yeah.
No, you know what I mean?
It's got to be Misty. Maybe they taught her that in the Babysitter's Training Club course.
Oh, okay. You know what? All I need is one line that says that. Yeah. Or one of them being like, oh, I used to go camping with my dad and we always build our own. Right. And that would be fine.
Maybe it's Melissa. Maybe that's where she comes in. Maybe she's good at building structures.
Yeah.
You never know.
I like that.
I could see that.
Yeah.
My last possibly controversial take. I hate to bring us back to this.
I'm so excited.
For a very long time, I insisted that Jeff did not send the postcards.
Oh, I don't think Jeff sent the postcards. That
was like, I mean, maybe I'm too on Reddit. But for a long time, if you said Jeff didn't send the postcards, people would be like, you're a fucking idiot. What do you mean?
It was like
it was
saying
talked about.
Adam is Grown-Up-Avi.
Right.
I don't think it ever directly was. But okay, I'm so glad you brought this up.
There has been something, though, I think one of the creators said something that indicated that he had or something somewhere, and everybody took it to mean that he had and whatever. And that seemed to have closed that door. But if Shauna's getting another fucking letter in the mail...
I know.
It wasn't Jeff.
That wasn't Jeff.
Like, do we have another person out there sending mail?
I think we conflated... Jeff was blackmailing the girls with people are sending postcards, and that whoever
is
blackmailing...
That's what I thought the whole time.
Yeah. But I don't think that was ever confirmed. I think everybody, including the characters in the show, have assumed that. But I'll bet I can imagine a conversation where Shauna's like, well, and you sent us those postcards, and Jeff being like,
yeah,
what
do you mean?
Postcards?
Yeah.
Yeah, I blackmailed you. I didn't send any postcards.
And that envelope that she's holding in the trailer says Shauna Shipman on it, not Shauna Sadecki.
Yep.
So
really good point. And it's a cassette. I mean, I think it's the cassette tape that we see later is in that envelope.
Yeah.
And it's not, it didn't make it through the mail. It was hand delivered. And it looks like in the trailer, it's actually Callie picking it up, which
interesting.
I mean, we see Shauna listening. So,
yeah.
But
yeah.
Once upon a time, a bunch of teenage girls got stranded in the wilderness. They hunted their friends, feasted on their flesh, and they went completely nuts.
What were some of your initial reactions to the trailer?
Okay, so before I did the comb through, I was, to be honest, a little underwhelmed.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, oh, it's cool. We get to see Hilary Swank. We have 3 new confirmed cast members.
Yes.
We only see one in this trailer.
Right.
The other
Hilary Swank. Yeah. The other teen Brit and teen something else. Yeah.
Oh, right. But also, sorry, Joel McHale.
Oh, yes. Adults.
And
Ashley Sutton.
We still have no clue what these other characters are going to be at all.
Yeah. What's Joel McHale doing in there?
We have no idea, right? What do we think? No. He's got to be new. Maybe a new detective
coming in to take over for Matt.
Yeah, right. I mean, we're really we have, at least with Hilary Swank, you know.
I mean, their local PD is really not great, so maybe somebody needs to come in and get them straightened out.
I could see him coming in as like, because we've crossed state lines now, so the FBI could get involved.
Right.
I could totally see Joel McHale as an FBI agent. Ooh, yeah. Ooh, I like that.
I do too. I could also see him as like a relative of one of the survivors.
Oh yeah, that too. But I like the idea of him coming in as like a Agent Cooper, kind of like coming into this weirdness.
Yeah, he's also about their age, so he could theoretically be someone else they went to high school with.
Oh, that's true.
So
yeah, well, I mean, we have no clue.
Yeah.
So that'll be fun. But so that's not really about the trailer. My point was just that of all of the new people, the only one they've given us any hint is Hilary Swank. And I don't know that we can assume that's her. There are a few different shots where you see the women in a house. You don't see them together in the house, but they're all in the house. And one of them is Misty with some blood on the wall. Oh, actually, so do we just kind of want to walk through the trailer real quick? I know we just did the. So it opens with Misty clearly at Nat's storage unit.
Right. And it's funny, I hadn't even made that connection until you said that. And that's ridiculous. But it's because the car was in it and we only saw it from the other perspective. This is like a wide angle shot of Misty opening the gate or opening the door.
And so, I mean, I'm guessing
this is right after Nat's death.
Yeah. And who knows what we'll find in the storage unit, like what kind of secrets Nat had that we don't know about. But of course, the first thing Misty does is go to look through all of Nat's stuff.
Absolutely. There's the structures.
Yeah, and they are they're like
they're pretty big too. If you look, you see you can see Teen Nat, I think, sitting next to one. They're large.
Yeah, they're like that's a good point because I didn't notice that the first time that we have Nat for scale.
Yeah.
And I kind of thought of them as being like one little hut for each girl.
Right.
But a few of them could fit in these.
Absolutely.
And then what do you think? So they look like the symbol. But what do you think about the one so there are two that have just plain triangular entrances.
Yeah.
This one in the middle has a circular entrance that had to have been so hard to make.
It also has a little like fence next to it, like a little side thing.
I can't believe how intricate these are. And we see 3 here, but you can see there's one more off to the side.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know that it's just these 3.
Honestly, as someone who loves to make shit and like has done some weaving, I'm just like, I could have a whole episode on how they made these. Like, I just want the behind the scenes, like Alone style documentary of how they decided how the shelters were going to be built.
And I'm willing to suspend my disbelief because these girls have been out here long enough. But like, this just seems really advanced for these teen girls.
Somebody has to have some sort of like camping background, or I mean, camping wouldn't teach you how to do this, but like some sort of other connection.
Yeah. And you can see it looks like, is that one of the plane seats they've pulled out from the wreckage?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And then
there's a couple of them.
Yeah, you can see
Van and Ty
as well. A lot of like running and chasing in this trailer for sure.
Yeah.
I was trying to figure out as I was watching through if you can get a hint of if the factions have occurred yet based on how the girls are grouped together. And I don't think we see that split being made obvious in the trailer.
Right. But the thing that you do get from the running scenes is like seasons, right? Yeah. Because it was winter.
Exactly.
This is clearly not winter because they're chasing. It looks like Mari.
Glad we're getting a time jump at some point because I just couldn't watch them struggle through. In fact, I know I said I need to know how they made those huts, but I'm also kind of like, I guess it happened when I wasn't watching. I don't know. They figured it out.
Yeah.
Maybe it took them a long time, but
yeah. They seem to be chasing Mari through the woods in the spring or summer because she's wearing short sleeves and everything's green.
It's very Pit Girl.
It's very Pit Girl, but wrong season. Yeah, exactly.
And
similar outfit.
Yeah. And who knows? I mean, I know the going theory for everybody is that Mari's Pit Girl. It's starting to feel too obvious to me. I
know, but there's only so many people. Unless there's randos out there we don't know about. We do have 2 new teen named characters.
It's funny.
I'm assuming that they are in this past timeline because that is the naming convention that they've used for like Teen X, Teen Y.
Yeah.
There's now a Teen Brit and Teen Robin.
And so it's funny because I know we were talking last week about the questions and which ones are still important. And Pit Girl has always seemed like such a big question, but I kind of don't. It
doesn't matter.
I've
stopped caring a while ago.
Yeah, the only reason it matters to me of if it's Mari or not is whether or not there's a chance we'll see Mari in the future. Because I still am holding on to that. little like feature in, I don't remember if it was like Variety or Entertainment Weekly, something like that, where it was all of the superlatives.
Yeah.
And everybody's was a reference to something in their adult life.
I know.
And Mari's was literally like most likely to contact you on Facebook 20 years later.
I know.
And so I think unless she shows up, maybe she starts haunting somebody in the future. Think they're hoping we will think Pit Girl is Mari so that we can be distracted for her to show up later. Especially because episode 1 now we know is called It Girl. And so if this is an episode, if this scene of Mari running in the woods is from that episode to kind of wink at us.
That's a solid point. So, I mean, the thing about not caring about Pit Girl anymore is that when it was introduced, when it was introduced, it was like, there were so many questions about like, who is it? Are they going to eat them? We didn't even know if for sure cannibalism was a part of this yet. And now we know that whatever they do is so much worse than just straight up cannibalism.
I think people forget that because I keep seeing that conversation come up and people being like, no, I think it's as easy as they don't want people to know about the cannibalism. But people at least assume because
this was when Alive happened.
Right. And Ty's whole smear campaign against Ty is like pictures of her eating ribs and yeah, that's not. I would love to, let's put a pin in what they could have done that's worse, because I have some new ideas that we haven't talked about. I do too. So that'll be one of the things we can talk about in a little bit.
Oh, yes. There's this like structure that they're taking a lid off of.
You think this is where it's our official smoker?
I feel like it's a smoker. Yeah. That's my guess. It looks because if you look to the left, it looks like there's a dining table right there.
Yeah. Do you think, I mean, who do we have in play to eat right now? Is like, they could find, if they find Crystal's body in the winter.
They could find Crystal's body frozen.
Misty knows where it is.
Because this could be from any point in the season, it could be Coach Ben if they kill him.
Well, except we know he made it to the adult timeline and he was hiding out.
People are going to think you're serious.
I am serious, Jodie.
I know. Nat's roots are growing
Nat's roots are finally growing in.
It's about time. It's about time. She got some bangs. Got another dinner scene with them all in their outfits.
Right. I don't know where they would have gotten these robes from, but maybe from the plane, because they clearly have gone back to the plane and scavenged some stuff.
That's a good point.
So that's interesting, you know, the kind of like ritualization of what they've been doing. Yeah, and this looks like
those are mushrooms too.
So I wonder if that's another thing, is like the ritualization of the hunt. If they're going to start.
It certainly would make it easier to eat people if you were, well, maybe it would. I don't know. Actually, in this situation, it would probably make it easier if you had some sort of like hallucinogenic ritual happening at the same time.
Yeah, I agree. I think so. I think the ritualization of it, even if it doesn't actively make it easier in terms of like, oh, mushrooms make you more cannibalistic, just having the process around it, you know?
Yeah, totally. And having a sense of detachment from what you're actually doing.
Right, exactly.
Not looking uncertain.
So if we do get those factions, does this split make sense? Because that would mean on the other side would be...
It would mean that Van and Ty would be split.
Right, but we've seen the tension there with them building, so it's not totally outlandish. And in terms of show writing, it would be interesting to split them up over this. So then that would put Shauna and Ty together, which makes sense. Melissa.
And the thing that makes sense to me there actually is Shauna and Nat being on opposite sides. Totally. I feel like they're gonna be a big clash.
Yeah, so I think it would be if this is one half, and we have no idea if that's the case. No, we don't even know if that's necessarily going to happen. But it would be then on the other team would be Shauna, Travis, Ty,
Lottie,
Melissa, Lottie, and then whoever, you know, randos are.
Yeah.
But they would be a definite split. And that all kind of makes sense for them to split down those lines. But again, who knows?
And then, of course, right after that, we have Ty and Shauna looking really suspicious.
Right. Over their shoulders at somebody else. Yeah. But like clearly aligned in their suspicion. Oh, I love them so much.
But look, it's Melissa in her backwards hat.
She's in this trailer so much. It's very funny. Like, don't forget.
She's very Karate Kid in this photo.
Exactly.
With her 90s jacket.
Yeah, I think it's got it. I think Hilary Swank, I will be surprised if Hilary Swank is not adult.
Melissa. Yeah.
And then, we get Nat back at the plane, which was obvious because they, pulled the chairs and stuff. And then Ben looking like a true wilderness man.
That's a good beard. Good hair too. That's not a bad look for him, actually.
No, he's doing great.
He could use a shower, but
yeah, I guess he's not doing great, but
no, but he looks pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Looks frightened.
Yeah.
Oh, and then this is where we get Misty kind of throwing doubt onto whether she should be the leader still, and I think she's talking about Nat.
Right. I think Natalie knows what Coach Scott is. Does she deserve to be the leader? What?
Oh, what? That's right.
Where makes more sense, but she says what, which could be like, that could be, if they think he's the one who burnt the cabin down, if, that could mean anything, but it is what. Does she deserve to be the leader? Instead of doing what was right for us, she did what she wanted to. Yeah. And then we get a big group shot.
Yeah, and is that Nat on the ground?
Oh, I think so.
Because we've got Lottie, someone, probably Melissa, Shauna, maybe?
I think so.
Van, Ty, Jen, Travis, new person, maybe?
Yeah, I think so. Misty,
Mari, and someone else.
Yeah, so there are 3, 6, 9, 12, 13 people.
Yeah. That I think in the next scene we do see what looks like Natalie on the ground.
13 is a lot. And then we get an overhead shot of people walking with like torches and candles and another kind of, everything just looks so ritualistic. I like that you can spot Melissa by her backwards cap. And we get a shot through that. I love this shot.
Yeah, through the front of one of the dwellings.
Exactly. Of them kind of marching by. They remind me of the others in Lost.
Yeah. And then they're releasing paper lanterns.
And it's clearly a Lottie ritual.
Except there's no curtains.
And hoods.
Yeah.
Out of like maybe, the hoods are kind of like vinyl. Like maybe they were made out of airplane seats.
Oh, interesting.
And then again, this is still everybody together though. 3, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12. There are at least 12 people here.
I think if they get into like quote unquote warring factions, it's not going to happen right away.
Right.
Oh yeah, Shauna.
It looks like she's leaving another baby.
Well, so remember that the ground was frozen.
Oh my God,
when the baby died. So they couldn't bury anything. They couldn't bury the baby then. Remember she put it under a pile of rocks?
That's right. Oh my God.
So maybe she's finally burying the baby now that the ground is thawed.
Oh, how heartbreaking.
I know. Because that's what it looks like. She's holding a bundle.
That's exactly what that is. Yeah.
Yeah.
She looks like
murderous.
It looks like they've activated an assassin.
I know. I mean, there was a quote from her on the new season that, Shauna has nothing to lose now and is really
That's what is actually going to be interesting for me is we haven't seen anything in the trailer to indicate this, but I'm so desperate for a when they come back episode.
I know.
And I just think like, I know they have said 5 seasons, but I don't think that's set in stone.
No, but that was I think what they were hoping for.
Right. But if they get 5, season 3 is such a perfect time to introduce the rescue timeline. Because when we meet Shauna, it seems like all of her rage is so repressed.
Right.
Or repressed isn't the right word. It's so bottled. That's why she's like killing rabbits and feeding them to her family and stuff. But and calling women on game shows dumb bitches for not knowing Paradise Lost and stuff.
Right. I think that could just be she's from Jersey. I do
That's also true. But it's so on the surface at the end of season 2. And so that transition is I'm interested
super interesting.
in.
Yeah. You wonder if Jeff has something to do with that change in her.
Yeah, maybe, right?
Where she feels like she has to kind of put it away if she's going to have anything with him.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. And then we see Lottie eating
having a
meat.
snack.
Exactly. I love people have been really firm on because of that one scene we get that shows them being like post-rescue of how many people are there, that only however many could have made it back. But I like the idea of there being more survivors.
The thing that the other reason I think people feel that way, though, is because just because there's only a handful now that we know about doesn't mean that originally when they first got back, there weren't more. And I think that's maybe the conflation is like, well, we only now know this many are alive, but like maybe more made it back and then didn't survive.
Yeah.
After.
And I think there's something too, this is more for speculation, but about whether or not they left with some of them still in the wilderness, and that's part of the cruelty of that they don't want people to know about, that they left some people on purpose.
Although you do think in a normal world that place would be searched to high heaven afterwards,
though we don't know exactly the circumstances of their rescue.
They could have walked out,
especially if it couldn't have been, we don't know how far they make it in the warmer weather, but I'm with you.
Because I do know, if they've mentioned the story Alive many times in relationship to this show, and the way those people were rescued is two of them walked out.
Right.
And found help. But they then went back to the location and got everyone else.
Exactly. And then we get that shot of that envelope.
I love the symbol as a postmark.
It's very cute.
It's very Lottie, honestly. It's very Lottie
so
putting the
Lottie.
symbol on fucking everything, making all the paths at her compound make the symbol, like wearing it on a necklace.
And so if it's not...
funny because it has that like dark connotation when you see it, but then also you've got to remember like Lottie was just slapping it on everything.
She has like paintings in her, like it's...
Yeah. So maybe it's just a letter from Lottie from the mental hospital, although it's hand delivered.
Right. And if it's not Lottie, though, that does give us a little more information in terms of like, is it somebody else who also puts a lot of stock in the symbol? And then we see it's one of those little like cassette tapes, but to me it doesn't look like it's...
Ooh, you know what it looks like?
Like a dictaphone tape.
It looks like something
tape.
that someone would record either in a police station or in a therapist's office.
Exactly. That's what I thought too. Something like that. It's not like a mixtape.
Right. It's not just like, these are my favorite songs.
Yeah, and because I saw people being like, well, you know who is really into like analog,
right?
Is Van, but that's
a different kind of tape.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then we see
playing it back.
How long do you think Shauna just had her Walkman?
Probably.
I think so too.
She hasn't let go of the past.
Yeah, and so she's listening to it in a bathroom that is not her house. I don't think because.
Are you sure?
Yeah, because look at the hairdryer. That's a hotel room hairdryer.
Oh.
This doesn't look like a hotel room bathroom.
Well, it could be like an Airbnb.
That's
because remember true. Walter and Misty stayed in that weird upstate Airbnb?
That's a good point. And then do you see what's in this painting?
Is that a goat?
It's a goat. So who knows?
Nice.
This could be a bathroom in her house, and it's just weirdly set. But I just think that...
This is the Severance Yellowjackets crossover.
Yeah, nobody has those hair dryers in their home, though.
Right. No, that's a good point.
So I don't know what's that. And then here's the shot. So this is the first shot we get in some house.
Right.
And
with the blood on the wall.
Yeah, there's blood on the wall that looks like...
someone's hand?
Yeah, or like... yeah, that's probably... Right? Who knows? I'm not a... what do you call them? A forensic investigator or whatever.
Right.
But... and I think Misty is wearing Nat's leather jacket.
I was going to say, Misty looks pretty cool in this photo.
Yeah, it's because I think clip. Heartbreakingly, that's Nat's jacket.
I know, but it looks good on her.
And she's got like darker makeup on than usual.
Yeah, she looks good.
Yeah, but I think
like this look for her. I know it's sad, but it looks good on her.
But don't you think it's probably in tribute to Nat?
Probably.
Sad. But yeah, her hair looks great. It's a good look. And then we see Misty digging through trash on the street in a city.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what she'd be looking for. I don't know that we've been given any information in season 2.
No.
Right? I think this is something new. It's really hard to tell what that is.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. And then we see, so this is, I think, the same. We get another shot of Shauna.
Mm-hmm.
I think in the same house that Misty was in, just based on like the artwork.
Yeah.
And then these
Ty.
blinds that Ty is looking through
Are the same ones, yeah.
So they're all in this house. And then some more of
Misty looking for clues.
Yeah, exactly. And then we get, thank God we get some Walter in this.
Tiny bit of Walter.
Yeah.
We have a body in a silky dress or nightgown.
Like candles.
Mm-hmm.
I love the font of this.
I know, it's a good font.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got Callie. This scene is so funny.
Yeah, I love
with Callie and Misty.
Misty, what a pair.
I know.
Misty says, think about how screwed up we would be if we had survived a plane crash only to end up eating each other.
Eating each other, yeah. I know. Callie's like, yeah.
Oh, I do. Because, you know, they did. But I guess for some reason, Misty is trying to play that off. I'm surprised that she's trying to keep that from Callie. Like, it just strikes me as something where Misty would, like, not
like that horse is out of the barn at this point. Yeah.
And then we get Ben, big scream.
Big scream.
He's really going through it.
Mm-hmm. He sure is.
And then we get a quick shot of Ty opening the back of a car.
And then Lottie emerging from maybe the hospital?
Maybe the hospital, but if you look at this door, doesn't that look like a bank or something? It's like skyscraper.
Right. Well,
silhouette.
And she looks very satisfied with herself.
Yeah, and she's wearing like a fancy fur coat.
Mm-hmm. Crushing up
but
some mushrooms.
But she's not like in hiding somewhere. And then we get a shot of Van looking like hungry is the word. And then a million knives. Just like
so many knives.
It's like adult Shauna knife, teen Shauna knife.
That's probably adult Shauna also.
I think that's also adult Shauna knife. And then
bloody
knife in the past.
That's probably Shauna, because then we see Melissa.
Yeah, and it's her plaid.
This is where Shauna says the only way to win or whatever is to be the only one left. That's not what she says, but it's something like that.
The only way to truly be safe is to be the only one left.
There we go. Relatable.
Misty's back in scrubs. They're in like a kitchen.
It looks like a commercial kitchen.
Yeah, exactly.
But because she's in her owl scrubs, I would guess this is a commercial kitchen where she works.
Right. But what is Shauna doing there?
I don't know.
And then now I missed this on my first watch. I didn't catch it until I started coming through. But it appears that she takes a knife and stabs Shauna, but
she's not stabbing Shauna.
Yeah, what do we think is going on there? Do we think it's
I don't know.
Dream? Do we think it's like...
There's absolutely no way to know.
That's so funny.
All I know is that she's not actually stabbing Shauna in the back.
Of course not. And then we get Hilary Swank running, bandaged,
she's
covered
so good
in blood.
At running.
There's like a car pulled over on both sides. Like it looks like maybe she jumped out of one and somebody's going to chase her. I never know why people do that when I'm not totally sure what's going on there, but. And then we get a shot of somebody in the winter pressing somebody else up against a tree with a pointy stick. And people online have been speculating about who these two people are.
Okay.
Who's your guess for the one on the left?
Looks kind of like Mari.
See, I think it looks just like Shauna.
It could be.
I think those are Shauna's eyes.
I just don't think there's anything we could really learn from that. Like, it's just someone threatening someone else.
Other than if we're going to, get that split.
Yeah, but I still don't think it tells us anything other than, like, conflict is happening, which we know.
Which we know. And then we get Van and Ty running down the street. And then, remember, I said I thought this was maybe Van and Ty in that blood dirt scene. It looks like somebody force feeding somebody dirt.
Yeah.
Mud. I'm not totally sure though. It's really hard to say.
Like Ty, but I can't tell.
I think that looks like Ty, but it is hard to say. And then we get more of the girls out in the wilderness.
Holding fire.
And then we get
Jackie.
We get one shot of Jackie and it's watch the eyebrow.
I know, it's so good.
That's all. Her face does not move except this little eyebrow quirk. She's so good.
Yeah.
And then more of the girls looking. I mean, we get one of...
everyone looks horrified now.
Horrified, but young Nat looking just like
disturbed.
So disturbed. And then one of adult Ty looking more like sad than horrified. And then Shauna throwing a fit.
Young Lottie yelling.
Young Lottie.
Screaming angrily. The weird like one half closed eye shot of Van.
It looks... You think it's Van?
Yeah.
I wasn't sure. That hair looks kind of blonde to me.
But the eyes are greener. I think it's Van.
It's just hard to say, but yeah. And then what looks like Ty and Van in some sort of physical altercation as adults. I'm so worried about Akilah.
I know. We definitely haven't heard any peep of her in the adult timeline.
No, and she's another one. We were talking last week about the people who've died being innocents. Yeah. She 100% is. She's like studying for when they return. She was trying to keep that little peanut alive, whatever, Nugget. She's talking. God. She has that line that sealed her fate for me where she's like trying to imagine how old her nephew's going to be when she gets home. And it's like, geez. Well, yeah, that's your death warrant. And then we get some more Ben, but he's like kind of smiling. Yeah. So I don't know.
Smashing the photo of them at the reunion, I think.
Is that what that picture is?
I think if we see it again later, I think that's what it is.
Okay. Some more wilderness stuff. We get a shot of Travis just to remind us that he's still alive.
And then what looks like a homemade gavel.
Yeah, I think so.
At a trial. And that kind of looks like Ben in the background. That color.
I think that's Ben in his jacket. Yeah, I think you're right.
This was one of my questions. This is funny to me. This is Shauna and Misty driving frantically over what looks like a lawn.
Yeah, it looks like it's like a big open field, and then it looks to me like there's some people and like maybe a little tent.
It's hard to see what that is, but
yeah, I'm really curious, but there are definitely some people and stuff there. Yeah.
And Mari macing someone.
Yeah, can you tell? Is that definitely mace or like?
It looks like bear spray
or bear spray, but I mean it's not like hairspray. It's like definitely
the way. That looks like bear spray.
Where did she get that?
Probably in the cabin, but the cabin's
burned
gone.
to the ground.
Yeah, maybe she grabbed it on her way out.
Maybe because I don't think planes come equipped with bear mace. And then this is Shauna and Melissa, and Shauna's got a knife to Melissa's neck.
Yep.
Okay, here we go. Now,
who is Ty suffocating with a pillow?
Oh, that's Ben. He just shaved his big beard off.
Oh my God. Everyone is Ben.
Ty is suffocating. So she's it's a hospital room, but it's like in a senior citizen, like community, like a, why
nursing
can't
home?
I think? Thank you. It's like clearly a nursing home because there's like a dresser with personal items. So it's not just a regular hospital. This is like a long-term
probably
unit. There are like pictures on the wall and stuff, I think. Misty's with her, so that also makes sense that maybe they're at Misty's work. But it's some old dude.
That she is trying to smother with a pillow.
So who?
I have no idea.
We haven't
the only
seen
man we know is a part of this is Ben.
Right. So here's the thing. Here's just what I'm trying to remember is like in our present day timeline, we haven't seen them interact with any old people. So who would have been...
Other than the political people that Ty has interacted with.
Right. So who would have been... I don't know. This guy's like at the youngest 70, but he's probably much older. So who would have been like in their, 50s?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
Like who would she... unless they, for some reason, start to think that it is one of her political opponents who's doing all of this. That's so boring for you and me. But...
Yeah, this is one of the things that I'm like, we're not even going to be able to figure it out. Just have to wait and see.
There have been so many times where they have thought something outside was after them, and it turns out it's just them all along. So that could be like not a red herring for us, but one for them, maybe,
Sure.
And then...
Shauna's smashing stuff.
Yeah, smashing something in a bag. She looks like she's in like in that commercial kitchen, like in their walk-in, maybe. So I don't know what...
There's an old phone.
Yeah, there's an old phone, but there's a shot. I don't remember if it's in this trailer. It might be in the first look of Van on that phone, present day. So that's Van's phone.
Okay.
Which makes sense. And then we get young Sean underwater, and now... So we know episode 2 is called Dislocation.
Oh, geez. Okay.
And we get...
Yeah, I can't even look at that.
It's somebody's dislocated kneecap.
It's horrible.
It's really awful to look at. And then we see somebody smashing Lottie's face into the dirt, I think.
Yeah, it looks like it. Adult Ty blowing out a match. Hilary Swank.
Hilary Swank saying, "You really are insane," covered in blood. And then just some more of them being wild girls out in the wilderness. Oh,
now that
we got to get to, yeah. They're running around here, and like it looks like they're smiling. Like this, I think, is one of the nice moments. Who is that? That's got to be a new person.
I don't know.
And then we get a shot. Okay, it is the most terrific thing I've ever seen.
Yeah,
it's got to be a dream, right?
It has to be.
So
it has to be. I can't even look at it.
It's somebody biting into somebody's flesh.
I really need that to go away.
But all of their teeth are like...
I can't look at it.
It's gone. All of their teeth are like... It's hard. They're like falling. They're like little tusks. They look like falling out of their head while they're biting into what looks like soft flesh. It doesn't make sense. So I'm praying it's...
a nightmare.
A nightmare. But who knows? And then, okay, this is, Jodie, it's a shot of young Van falling into, is this rescue? Is this like a hotel room after they've been rescued? She's like
a
falling,
pile of blankets or something.
Yeah, is what it looks like. But she's still in dirty.
Right.
So this could also be a dream. They love to show us a dream.
Right, but, there has been some indication that we are going to see some of the rescue this season. I want
that. More than anything, I want that.
Me too.
And then we see Ty and Van kissing. And then we get this blown out shot of somebody's hand opening a door. But if you look, it looks almost like the cabin, like it's old.
Right.
And the hand, it's hard to like... Do you have a feeling? I know this could be literally anybody.
It could be literally anybody, yeah.
Do you have any indication?
No, I mean, I think I know what you want me to say.
Oh, what do you think I want you to say?
Well, you said the cabin, and it looks kind of old-fashioned in terms of the way that it's like desaturated. So like maybe that's like a shot of the cabin guy's arm or something.
Oh, huh. I really didn't. I have a couple of different ideas. The sleeve
that wasn't one of them.
Well, not cabin guy. The sleeve feels like a Misty sleeve to me for some reason, but that's an adult hand.
Right.
But it's, I hesitate to talk about it being old and bony because these are just older women and maybe their hands. Do you know what I mean? Like
maybe it's Hilary Swank.
It could be. Like, it's so hard to say. And then we get a very sweet little bunny. And then, Misty down some steps, and she's like underground. And there is crime scene tape.
Yeah, or caution tape.
Right. And then
Ty with a dirt mouth.
So just the little,
smile.
Just the littlest.
We've talked about the Pete Holmes smallest smile game before, right?
I don't know if we have one here, but she's winning. She's winning smallest smile. It's really good. But yeah, adult Ty's eating dirt, and then we get a reminder that
this random thing still exists. Man with no eyes.
Man with no eyes. I don't know what.
Yeah,
we're supposed to make of him, but he's still around. And
somebody choking Mari.
And then we get
Misty running through trash again.
Right.
Shauna maybe praying. And then teen Shauna flailing around in the lake.
And so so the last shot then is Shauna flailing in the lake, young Shauna.
But yeah, that was good to watch slowly because I hadn't done that yet. I'd seen screenshots, but I hadn't actually gone through it.
And so now with that in mind, does anything, what changes for you? Or does anything?
I don't think so. I still think that that's Melissa, that Hilary Swank is Melissa.
I think so too.
The things So I had seen like a bunch of the screenshots, so none of that was like a shock to me. But I do have like, I think my questions are still the same, is what I'll say. So do we want to talk about that?
Yeah.
Like, now that we've seen the trailer closely.
So I know, like, we're kind of doing this a little backwards, but we did get that first look.
Yeah, there's a few things there that are not in the full trailer.
And is there anything you want to highlight?
No, I think the main things that are in the first look that aren't in the big trailer are Misty in the underground hallway that looks like the one that Lottie was in. And there's a little bit more Ben. There's Ben in the cave, and there's Ben with the like trap hanging from the tree. But other than that,
and I think that's where we get Walter in the little Giga something hat.
Gotcha.
So, but yeah, I think that's plenty to go on.
Yeah. Yeah, I think questions / theories and ideas.
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. So, for me, there's a couple big ones. And so, number one, which we mentioned while we were watching the trailer, like, are we going to get 2 factions? And if so, who's going to be in them? I don't have any answers to that. I think there's a lot of ways it could go. All I know is that if it does happen, Shauna and Nat will be on opposite sides.
Right. And I think Van and Ty will be too.
Right.
And I think as we were talking about it, it is more likely to happen in the winter. That's when things will get more difficult and when we might be more likely to need to hunt people and
right. One of the other questions I have is like, all along we've been told like whatever they actually did is worse than what we think it, like worse than the cannibalism. And so I wrote down in my notes like, what's worse than hunting? And then underneath that I wrote, Ben eat alive ?
I think there's some of you freaks are really hoping that
no, I'm not.
We start hacking
honestly,
away at Ben.
My weak stomach has barely made it this far. The only reason I can do this is because I'm enjoying this show so much, but I have been very close to my limit this whole time of what I can handle. So I really don't want them to eat anyone alive. But I also know that if they've got to escalate it somehow, there's only
so much. And
the
Ben
ritualistic hunting, like we already know about.
And he's already missing a leg, and they don't. And because I was, we're thinking like, what's the benefit of doing that other than punishing him? But it's like keeping
Unless you cut off his other leg and cauterize it, and he's still alive, and you keep the rest of him fresh.
Fresh, exactly. Not that they don't know how to smoke meat, but like...
No, but like, I mean, there is like, if we're thinking there's a way that this can get like dramatically worse, that is one way.
The only other thing I can think of is that they intentionally left people behind. But
yeah, but even that, it's like,
I know.
That's not...
I just don't know what's worse than cannibalism.
But like, if they think, or if they find out for sure that Ben set the fire, like that's a revenge right there, like a reason for it. Other questions for me are like, how big is the cave system? Mm-hmm. How do they get found, or how do they get rescued? Like that's a huge one. Will they find Crystal's body? That's
one of the things I've seen people speculating is that maybe they do come across somebody like a hiker or somebody who could theoretically help them get rescued, and they hunt and eat them anyway, which would probably be worse. Like foregoing rescue to eat somebody who was not part of their thing. That would probably be worse.
Yeah.
But then that means there were 2 opportunities for rescue then, because they do get rescued eventually.
I know. To me, that one's a little thin, but I memean, how do they get rescued? Like, does somebody just happen to be flying over that area for one time, and like, or do some of them hike out and like one of the things? So this is really thin, but like, if Melissa is still alive and they don't know she's alive, like it could be that she got fed up with the ritualistic cannibalism and decided to just go off on her own, and they assume she died.
Right.
But I mean, that's a stretch.
And I also do think it would probably make news whether she wanted it to or not.
Yeah.
If she were rescued later.
Totally.
Could Hilary Swank be Cabin Daddy's daughter?
Oh God. The phrase cabin daddy's daughter is like nails on a chalkboard.
Yeah.
For me. I don't know why. I think it's because it was such a ridiculously huge theory on Reddit based on so little.
Yeah.
It's like based on one screen grab.
Yeah. Though I do think now, knowing, again, bonus episode, I was about to say knowing that it's about, but we don't know. Well, this is also speculation. But if Javi's friend is cabin...
This makes me want to scream. I can't tell you how much I hate this theory.
This is our job.
I don't know. My job is to be as honest as possible about my feelings about all of these things. And this theory makes me nuts.
Okay, but Javi has a friend.
Javi thinks he has a friend.
So do you think he hallucinated a lady?
I think it's entirely possible. I think that everybody's seeing everybody. Everybody's seeing people. Fucking Shauna sees Jackie everywhere. Ty sees another version of herself in the mirror. Like,
yeah, but Javi's dead now. Like, that seems like a weird seed.
But he wasn't dead then.
Well, I just mean it seems like a weird seed to plant if it's just going to be a dead kid hallucinated somebody that kept him alive, that helped keep him alive. I
don't know. I'm sure that it's 100%. I could be wrong. I just, for some reason, absolutely hate this theory. I think because it's based on so little that it's like one of those things where in my brain, there was a tiny thing that people saw and they took it so far in one direction. And the actual answer is going to be so something we couldn't have imagined already.
Maybe.
Like, so not that. I don't know. I mean, I'm happy to be proven wrong, whatever. But like,
yeah.
I don't know that a naysayer on this one.
I don't believe or disbelieve this. I have no feelings about it. A possibility is Javi's friend is Cabin Daddy's daughter, and that's why we have to wait. And that's why we have to wait a little longer for the bonus episode, because
I have a hard time with the phrase Cabin Daddy to begin with, and then Cabin Daddy's daughter just sounds so gross to me. It's really an uncomfortable set of words.
But that could make sense of why we have to wait a little longer for the bonus episode, because they've decided. It's also quite possible, Jodie, that they've heard us talk so much about Cabin Daddy's daughter that now she's part of the show, even if she wasn't going to be. And now we have to wait a little longer for the bonus episode.
It's so Guy in a Hatch. Like, how is there a person? I know, I'm saying though.
Guy in a Hatch is great.
Okay, but do we need it again? Like, it just feels like it's like, okay, we did this. Like, we had like the Guy in the Hatch, but for there to be someone out there for this long, this is not like The Island. This is not like.
It's funny. I don't think it's that far fetched that there might be somebody especially with the cave system and all. Even if it's not.
Please.
Even if it's not
don't.
The young offspring of the person who owned the cabin before they lived there.
That's much better.
I don't think it's that far-fetched that there's somebody, especially because these girls are dumb. You know what I mean? Like,
I know.
I just don't think it would be that outlandish for there to be somebody living out there.
I guess I just feel like they haven't given us any indications of that.
Well, except that Javi did say there was someone out there, and he drew a picture of her. And
yeah, but he drew a picture of a woman in a tree.
Yeah.
Like, that's kind of the other thing. Like, if he drew a picture of an actual human... But like, this looks like some sort of like tree nymph, you know? Like, it struck me as like more of a supernatural vision kind of thing when he drew that picture.
Yeah, I'm open to anything here. Yeah. I don't love it as a theory, but I don't hate it.
Other than the phrase Cabin Daddy's daughter. Like, if that can go away, I don't care what happens.
I like the idea of these. I think what I'm drawn to in any situation like this is the idea of these girls feeling so isolated and like they can do whatever they want because nobody's watching, and then for them to have to interact with somebody out there before they make it home. I
mean, I was really into the idea of like mining tunnels and all of that. Like, I have my own pet theories that like may or may not make sense that I love, so like there's no judgment here. There's just there's certain theories that I'm
yours.
Just that I just don't really not into. Like, I got really into the fucking the the surveyor and the mirror and the angles and the trigonometry and the tunnels and the mining.
We still don't know what cast that little light.
And the red water and like all of that. Like
the cedar water?
The cedar water, yes. Thank you. I can say it kind of like you.
That was pretty good.
Cedar water. But like, I was into all of those theories. So like, like I said, no judgment. It's just the phrase that I need to stop hearing.
Okay. I get it.
If there's something about it that makes me really uncomfortable.
The thing that brought me back around to even thinking about all of that is the language when they were asked, when Bart and Ashley were asked about it, is like, I think we might need to wait a little longer before we get the bonus episode, which is like, there's something about that language that makes me feel like that wasn't the case before, but now something in this storyline has come up where they can't show us that episode yet.
Right.
And if that episode is about the person who lived in the cabin before, which I do think is fan speculation, but I do think that makes sense because it had to work. Yeah.
There's also the fact that the photo that everybody took in a million ways was of Jason Ritter, Melanie Linsky's husband, wearing the flannel jacket thing that all the girls end up trading off that belonged to the guy that owned the cabin. Yeah. So, and there's been commentary that like that story in the creator's brains was like a Shining-esque story.
Right.
So. That part of it is based on actual like connections that were like real.
Okay. So that makes sense. And so we don't have a body. We only have one skeleton.
Yeah.
So, which could mean a million things.
Sure.
And
that's why we went on that whole thing with the giant wisteria last recap.
That's
because of the lady in the tree and the bones in the tree and the child that was buried and all of that.
So there's a lot. It could be anything.
Yeah. I have one other main question, and then we'll let you also ask questions.
Go for it.
What the fuck is happening with Sammy? Where's Sammy? Is Simone dead? What the fuck? There was a whole family that we just gave up on. I mean, I found Simone annoying at the end, but like, I still would like to know what happened to Ty's family.
I mean, they really put her on ice so that we don't have to, you know what I mean?
Yes.
They just got her out of the way.
I mean, since we're probably going to see, well, I don't know. I was going to say since we're going to see them go back home, but a lot of the shots we saw are sort of like indescript locations, so.
Yeah, and I said something when we were going through the trailer. It must have been in the first look, though maybe, There's a shot of Ty in a car. It's Ty's hand, and in the cup holder is one of those coffee cups that you only see in New York, the like blue and white ones. Yeah. And so that makes me feel like they're still out of town. I don't know why they'd be in New York in particular, other than they were upstate.
Although I do think some coffee shops in like Newark would have those, but
I don't know. I've never seen one otherwise, but that's quite possible.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I would love to know how Sammy's doing. Mm-hmm. Probably not great.
No, although maybe better than he was because he did think he didn't think.
No, he knew.
His mom was climbing up trees at night and watching him through his window. So
she was the bad one.
Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe if he's with the grandparents, he's doing a lot better. Mm-hmm. Maybe they got him some therapy.
I hope so.
Yeah. So what are you thinking about? Because I feel like I've been like throwing shit out there.
No, I mean, I'm with you. I am, of course, like concerned for Ben. Mm-hmm. Here's the big thing. So a lot of your questions were for in the past. We keep saying Walter shows up as this Deus Ex Machina, but he shoots a body that is already dead, curled up in the back of a trunk that has been poisoned.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
He did. That doesn't. I said at the beginning of last week, I don't understand how the show ends with these women not dead or in jail.
Yeah. I mean, one of my other questions was, will Walter's plan work? Because it seems impossible.
It can't. But then what? Then where's the fun? Like, I just am so not sure.
Because they also just found Adam's body.
Right,
like
exactly.
right at the end of season 2.
That's the other thing. And Shauna is a suspect.
Yeah. They found his body in Heckle Barney Park.
Mm-hmm. And
like,
so...
we know he has family.
Right. And so what do we do with that?
Yeah, like what are the consequences, and are there, like, how realistic, I guess, will they be?
It also depends on how much time passes in season 3. Season 2, I mean, very little time passes.
Really good point.
In season 2.
Yeah.
So,
I know.
Especially if we're going to get some in-between stuff. We might not get a whole lot in season 3 of present day.
Yeah. Although one of the big criticisms they got last year or last season was that, like, what happened in the present day was too ridiculous, and B, like, not enough actually happened. You know, like, what did happen was a little wild, and it just wasn't, like, realistic enough, I guess. Right. So,
and I mean, I had fun with it. I think you and I were a little more generous, but I don't think people are totally wrong in that necessarily.
No, it didn't move in the way that I felt like it could have. Like, I felt like they could have, because I think we don't need to rehash this, but I feel like, compared to season 1, where everything had this, like, insane clip, and every episode was like, oh my God, like, we just advanced this much in the story. It felt a lot slower.
Yeah, I think so. And that's often shows season 2 does not, and so I'm optimistic about season 3.
Yeah, same. I'm desperate to see what happens when they get home.
I know.
And that little flash of Van landing on a bunch of white blankets, I hadn't noticed that in the trailer when I first watched it, because I hadn't been able to slow it down. And that is encouraging to me.
Me too. I'm going to be annoyed if it's
like a dream or something.
A dream. But it doesn't look like that to me. It looks like that's Van and her first night in a real bed.
Honestly, it would surprise me if this season we didn't see something of that in-between timeline when they first get home. I feel like the creators know that that's something that needs to be done, and they don't know that they're getting 5 seasons. They don't even know that they're getting 4 seasons. So they've got to figure out how to
that's a good point.
Make sure that they don't get caught having told, like, the first half of the story in so much detail that they don't get to tell the rest of it.
Right. Totally.
Because it's not like we were talking about how Silo, like, got a 3 and 4 deal, so they knew they could kind of plot it out. Bart and Ashley said that they had, I think it was a 4 or a 5 season arc that they planned, but that doesn't mean they get 4 or 5 seasons.
Right. And
so hopefully they have a way to kind of keep it from becoming a little repetitive based on what we've seen.
Yeah, and, shifting us into a different season in the past will help do that for the past, but I really think now's the time to give us some of that post-rescue.
100%.
Yeah,
definitely.
Even if it's not in this first episode, but at some point.
Yeah,
I wanted to.
Let's find out about the symbol. How about that? Give us, like, what the fuck is the symbol? Is it like a mining diagram? Is it a
Do you think
sigil?
We're not going to get that until the end?
Maybe. We just watched a whole show about sigils.
All you folks getting that tattoo are so brave.
Oh my God, I know.
You're so brave.
Brave? Or I can't without knowing what it means? No, thank you.
I know. It could be truly anything. I saw that fun little post going around. I think it started on TikTok where somebody had mapped the symbol onto a soccer field.
Oh, yeah.
And it's you could make anything into anything. Yeah. So but I thought it was cute. I don't think it actually gives us any.
Right. There has been a lot of speculation though about the soccer part of it, like who's playing what position and like what order they're coming out in and all this stuff. Like that could be something, but yeah, I don't know if I don't remember seeing if Bart or Ashley played soccer themselves, or if just having it be a soccer team was like they had to be a team of some kind
to get them on a plane
and they picked soccer.
Like, yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know that I have any pressing questions that aren't the same questions that all I can't wait to find out what's on that tape. I think that's fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think the thing that's fun about it, and the thing that also is a little frustrating about this like waiting process, is like as soon as it starts, there's going to be 20 more questions that we could never even think of, because they're going to throw something else at us that we can't anticipate.
Yeah, and I mean,
and that's the fun of it mostly. But
yeah, we've covered enough sort of like, this isn't really a mystery box show, but it sort of is.
Yeah.
But we've covered enough shows like that to know that like there's a real sweet spot of introducing new questions while still answering enough to keep us engaged.
We've seen a lot of examples of the bad version of that.
Exactly. And so it's hard. That's the other thing, is that like...
Yeah. I mean, I've seen people question that with Severance, and that's a really well-made show, but there's a lot of people that are like, how are they going to land this plane? Mm-hmm. You know, because they threw a lot up there in the air.
Yeah.
And I'm going to make a metaphor that makes no sense. Like, are they going to put the plane together in the air? Is that a thing? Yeah. Like, how are they going to pull this off?
Right.
You know, because it's so high concept.
Right. And then with this show, where it's hard because if the big question, which it has always seemed to be, is, or this is hard I'm trying to figure out how to phrase this, because we've talked so much about, it's not just, is it supernatural? Is it just these girls with their trauma? It's like, I feel like I always come to this talking about shows like this, where it's like, I don't know what the satisfying ending would be. I know we're really early in it, but it's like, if it just comes down to, these are traumatized girls dealing with trauma as adult women, and that can make you act in really fucked up ways, I think that's really compelling. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, setting up a lot of questions for that answer to have been there in episode 1, as we've been speculating. But then on the other hand, it feels cheap to have it be a supernatural thing. But then on the other hand,
there's no like defined version of what type of supernatural thing this is.
Right. But then on the other hand, to leave it ambiguous at the end, when it's been ambiguous all along, also feels like a cheat. So I don't know how you land this plane in a way that we feel happy about.
I think there's a way to end it where it's left ambiguous, but there are still consequences for actions, where it could be like, if some of it is explained and some of it isn't. Like, I've actually been perfectly fine sitting with some of this is clearly someone going through trauma, and some of it is kind of unexplainable. Like for example, when Lottie as a little kid screams and they avoid the accident, like, that could just be she happened to scream at that moment, like, you know, or it could be that she had some sort of weird premonition and saved her family from getting killed. I'm okay with that ambiguity. I just also would like some sort of realistic consequences for a random murder.
Yeah, we kind of talked about this with Evil, weirdly, where it's like some of the questions that show is asking, we don't have answers for in our real world, so we can't expect the show to answer it for us. Yeah. And some of the questions that show asks are questions they created that I'd never needed to ask. Like, how does a woman have a twin stitched to her side that then shows up seemingly physically, and then we never return to that? Do you know what I mean? Like, that's a question that's frustrating that it didn't get answered. And I think kind of like parsing through those in this show is that's a useful point. So thank you. I think that's right.
Because not every question that could come down on supernatural or scientific has to be answered. There's some that I don't think, like, for example, the red water. Is that iron? Is that cedar water? Is it a hallucination? Was it blood? Was there like a dead ant? Like, there's all sorts of things it could have been, and it kind of doesn't matter. Right. Because it's not a consequential answer. Unless it happens to be that they're over like a mine and they're all being poisoned. Right. Then it's like, that matters. But yeah, I just think certain questions that distinction matters and some it doesn't.
I think that's a very good point. And I think we broadly sometimes get caught up in not making that distinction.
Well, and because for all of my like, I want there to be realistic explanation for things, like, I really enjoyed Evil. I have no problem with half of, like, the fucking baby at the end. Like, whatever. That was a super fun show. I had a great time. I was not expecting, this show takes itself a bit more seriously in some ways, but also in some ways it's still a show about a bunch of teenagers that eat each other in the woods. Like,
yeah, that's a good point.
And so we do need to kind of take that with a grain of salt and be like, this isn't, I don't know, Shakespeare. Like, I don't know. That was the only reference I could think of at 9:30 at night or 9:45. I know. But I'm excited that we will have at least some answers probably some new questions very soon.
Yeah, very soon. February 14th, in fact.
Yes. I can't wait to have something new to watch. Because to be honest, I watched the first season 4 times. And it was fun. The second season, I watched twice. The second time around was a slog. And the reason it was a slog was because it was so fucking heavy. There was less funniness and more dead babies, eating people. And like, I'm okay with things being dark, but it was like there was so much really horrific trauma that wasn't broken up by other things in the way that it was in the first season. I had a hard time rewatching the second season, and I really hope that the third season returns to a little bit quicker of a pace, a little bit more humor in there in between the traumatic moments.
Well, so there are a couple of things. One is just the fact that it's not winter, at least in the beginning in the teen timeline. That'll help. That'll be lighter.
I hope
and
so.
then in our adult timeline, we're hopefully entering into some, I really hope some like detective-y, trying to outsmart, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
trying to solve
like a caper.
Like, caper kind of.
I would love a caper.
Yeah, and that's sort of what it feels like just from the little bit that we've seen.
I
with
hope
like
so. Because
Misty,
because the first episode, of season 2 also had that vibe. And then after season, I keep doing that. After episode like 3 or 4, it just became like hitting you over the head with trauma again and again.
Except for, we got to remember,
Except
they did give
Walter.
us, and Misty with like the
musical number.
The musical number with interrogating.
Right.
Randy with their little Airbnb.
Yes, you're right.
Like,
there were some in between things that were really delightful. I think it was just the how
Shauna with Bruce
Shauna's,
the goat.
Well, yeah, you're right. But I also think that Shauna giving birth, the baby dying, the beating of Lottie, like there was just I think it was maybe it wasn't that the ratio was that different. It was that the stuff that was traumatic was so much worse.
Yeah.
So, because I mean, I remember season 2, episode 1, like all you should ever say to the police is, "I want a lawyer." That's why I put it on the cookie.
Put it on the cookie.
Like, I just need more of that, please. Yeah. And I'm sure they'll give it to us.
I feel that a little bit just from that trailer. There seems to be space for some
I hope so.
more lightness, but we'll see.
Yeah, we will.
With that first episode, It Girl, like I said last week, play on Pit Girl, or maybe earlier in this episode. Summer inspires the Yellowjackets to ditch soccer for a more contact-intensive sport and revive an old pagan tradition. In the present, a cringeworthy funeral. There's no way Misty's not delivering a eulogy.
Absolutely, she's
flows organically into a bar therapy session. Season premiere.
Yep. Incredible.
Dislocation is the second episode. The Yellowjackets are stuck deciding whether to track down a missing teammate or just trip out on mushrooms. Shauna secures a spot on the world's most unsupportive partner list. Who's missing? Ben, but he's not a teammate.
Oh, Crystal.
Oh, duh. Okay.
Because now it's warm out. Maybe they're going to go try to find her body because food also.
Right. That makes sense. Okay. And then one little thing here that I want to put a pin on, or not put a pin in, that I just think is interesting is, so we've got those 2 titles, and then somebody posted on Reddit, if you go to the WGA website and search Yellowjackets, it gives you all the episode titles, but they're like unofficial, like I think what the show submits to the WGA. So some of them you can look for by the dates, so you can tell seasons 1 and 2. Some of them are placeholder titles, and some of them are ones that made it to air. So do you want me to share the 10 titles we have?
Sure.
At this point, and I don't they were also submitted in chunks, so they're not necessarily in order 1 to 10.
Okay.
But we have It Girl. Dislocation is not on this list. Them's the Breaks, which we know
3.
is official.
Yeah.
And then one is Hold Me, Thrill Me, Kiss Me, Kill Me. But there's a U2 song called, I have to think it's a typo. That's Hold Me, Thrill Me, Kiss Me,
but
Kill Me.
Hole could be the hole in the ground that somebody falls into.
But Hole Me?
I know. I mean, they've done silly things like that before. They're so silly.
But then, for example, okay, so I'm going to skip my favorite one, even though it's not. So then there's another one in here, 12 Angry Girls, which lends credence to the gavel, if there's some sort of trial happening. One called Thanksgiving Canada, which is, they celebrate Thanksgiving in October. And again, that's clearly a placeholder title if we're going to get a Thanksgiving episode. I don't know. Croak, A Normal Boring Life, How the Story Ends, and Full Circle, which... So we'll see. I'm just curious to see how many of those actually make it to air and if we can line up what they are. But the one I like the most is, did Ty do that? Like, did I do that?
That's great.
Like Steve Urkel, but
That's
Ty
great.
instead.
And weirdly, the first thing that came to my mind was the shit bucket.
Oh, yeah. Ty did do that.
Yeah.
But it was very funny to see people in the comments because the screenshot is just like somebody put it in like their notes app or something, I forget. Yeah. And so it's people in the comments being like, there's no way those are the titles. And then you can go, I went to the WGA website and searched it, and it's like, no, that's how they submitted it.
What they submitted.
Who knows if it'll make it to air, but that fully came from
that's hilarious.
The Yellowjackets creators,
Yeah.
Did Ty do that?
They do love their fun episode titles. Yeah. You know, Edible Complex.
Exactly. Friends, Romans, Countrymen.
Yeah, exactly.
Lend me your ears. We didn't know how stupid the show would be about titles because I made that joke and then that is what it ended up being, that it was about her ear.
Well, and there's also Bear Down. Isn't that when they hit a bear?
Yeah, when the bear goes down.
When the bear goes down.
But isn't it also a Ben shitting episode?
Probably. Yes, probably. Yeah, exactly.
They're so funny.
And Doomcoming, which is a very silly name, but totally works.
So we'll see how many of these are.
Yeah.
But
that's great.
So we get, some of those do give us a little bit of information. So.
Yeah. I mean, them's the brakes. It's spelled like car brakes. Mm-hmm. You know?
Right, yeah, exactly.
Not brakes.
Brakes. And we have that shot in the trailer of Misty and Shauna. So.
Yeah.
So we can revisit this list as we work through these episodes. Do we just have one more thing to talk about? Am I missing anything?
Yeah, the music.
Yeah.
I feel like mine is just going to be the same. I'm desperate for a Concrete Blonde song. I think it's too early in the time period for it to actually work, but because Pump Up the Volume was 94, I think. Okay. Or no, it was earlier than that. It was 90. But I was listening to it in high school and early college, so I think that's why I'm just convinced. So I went back and listened to our previous recaps, and we made a great point, or you made a great point that I agreed with, which is that we need some Green Day or some pop punk or something, and it would be a good thing to have when there's a location or a time shift, right? If we're back and things are weird and I feel like some discordant pop punk that doesn't quite line up properly with the mood everyone's in.
Right. Yeah.
Would be perfect.
I have just a dream in my heart that hit me when I was looking at the timeline that I will share with you in just a moment. 1997, which is what we're into at this point. We're early, I think breakdown probably February that the cabin burns. So just before I get to I have one. I'm only going to share one this year, but just some things to note. Groups that have debuted or were in the top 100 while the girls were in the woods. Spice Girls. So they're going to come back, and Wannabe is going to be huge, or will have been. Notorious B.I.G. dies while they're away. This isn't a music thing, but it's Hanson debuts while they're away. So music is very different when they come back.
Yeah.
They come back and Princess Di is dead. Isn't that weird to think about? That she dies while they're in the woods?
Yeah.
A few top 100 songs from 1997 that I feel could show up. I said I was only going to share one. I have only one that's in my heart, but Touch, Peel, and Stand by Days of the New is, I would be very surprised if that doesn't show up. It was the number 2 song in 97, and it's weird and grimy, and it's called Touch, Peel, and Stand, which just feels appropriate to me. The Freshmen.
Yeah, I saw that on that list.
Like, there's just so many, but okay. It's a great year. Along December came out that year. One Headlight came out that year. Sex and Candy came out that year. Like,
yeah, that's a really specific time frame in music.
Yeah. Okay. So if they get rescued in December of 1997, do you know what song was huge in December of 1997?
Of course I don't.
Green Day's Good Riddance / Time of Your Life.
That's the most perfect thing I've ever heard.
Getting on their rescue plane while that fucking song is playing.
That is fucking genius.
That's all I need in the world.
That is genius.
So that
has to happen.
I mean, they have to be planning that, right? How could they not be?
That has to happen. I will accept nothing else now.
When I realized the timeline lined up, that I hadn't figured that out prior
That's
to
so
now.
Perfect.
The show, like, if they get nothing else right, but they nail that.
Yeah.
So that's
There's
my only wish.
I'm looking at 1998. And
right, because they'll be back January 98. So if we get them at home, what are you looking forward to hearing?
So this is, I think, a little bit of a left turn that might make no sense, but based on my experience with you in this podcast would be extremely funny to me. Paula Cole's I Don't Want to Wait comes out in 1998.
Oh my God.
A little Dawson's Creek crossover.
Those girls could come home in January and just in time for the debut of Dawson's
Creek. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
They missed the death of Princess Di, but
they didn't miss Dawson's Creek if they get home in time. Yep.
I just think the difference, I mean, we're being kind of, I mean, I'm not joking here, but I just think the difference between 1996 and 1998 is huge. Like, it really is.
It is. Yeah. Also, Jewel is huge in 98. But yeah, I'm with you on the Green Day.
Movies that Van's going to catch up on that she missed in 97. Like,
yeah.
I just want all of that.
Yeah. Totally. But I really want, okay. So what I want is some scene of them right after they got back. I don't know. They're coming back into their hometown. They're in their little Jersey, like, downtown Main Street area. And I Don't Want to Wait starts playing. And we get a montage of them, like, glancing at each other. Come on.
It's perfect.
Yeah.
That's so good.
Yeah.
We still haven't got Volcano Girls. We did get Seether, but I think Volcano Girls is still a perfect song for them.
I know. Yeah, I don't think most of our predictions came true. I will say they've done a great job with lining
Not as good as we have.
Right, not as good as we have, but
still pretty good.
Yeah.
They fucked up not getting, I guess they could still have, but I still think Screaming Females are
oh my God,
perfect for the soundtrack, but the band broke up while they were making the show. So.
They took too long. All right, well, that was a marathon, but I am excited. We are going to have a lot to dig into next week. I will probably watch the episodes many times before we even start talking. It's going to be nice to have some new lore to go through.
I can't wait.
I can't wait either. So yeah, I guess that's it. Oh my God.
This is wild.
I know. Somebody play Good Riddance. Except it's not over.
No.
That's so exciting. Okay.
I know.
I guess, where can they find us?
Oh, at WatchersPodNJ on Instagram, WatchersPodNJ at Gmail.
Yeah. They can find me on Instagram at Jodie_Mim, JODIE_MIM.
And I'm at AQ, Andrea Q.
And we're going to see them
in the wilderness.
In the motherfucking wilderness next week.
Hell yeah, baby.